Welcome back to Oulton Park. We're well into the second race of the weekend in the Dunlop Radical UK Cup. We've got a super scrap at the very head of the field between the two teammates from the Marks Electrical squad, with Stuart Mosley just leading James Littlejohn, as he has done since the lights went out many minutes ago. And the pair of them able to put a little bit of daylight between themselves and Ross Kaiser in third position. Littlejohn and Mosley have not been separated by more than a second really throughout much of the race. Roger Green has also had a very lively race. He's got James Abbott, Tor Christian Emsvik, and now Sean Balfe up onto his tail. Roger Green is about to be swamped here by three other SR8 cars. Green therefore parks the car further in the road on the way towards Lodge Corner. Everybody looks to try and get to the inside of everybody else. As a result, nobody able to quite overtake, so they crest the elite, accelerating into Oulton Corner once more. You can overtake there, but you've got to be feeling very, very brave. And these drivers all evenly matched, so out of Oulton they come, and accelerating down the avenue into Denton's and then Cascades. And this, a very, very fine performance from Roger Green as he works the wheel through Cascades, just has to correct a little bit of oversteer, accelerating along Lakeside and on towards Island Bend. Meanwhile, the race leaders come out of Hilltop and into Hizzies, with Mosley and Littlejohn nothing to choose between the pair of them. And in the pits, they've got very similar pit stop times as well, because the pit stop times are mandatory. They're imposed on the basis of driver gradings by the organisers. It really keeps things as even as possible towards the latter stage of the race, which is why we're seeing such frenetic dicing in these early stages as Bradley Ellis slides inside Darren Anley. He goes through, gains the place. Colin Noble, his next target. Some of the Grade A rated drivers who are starting this race are trying to really put as much daylight between themselves and their rivals as possible in the first half of the race, knowing that the pit stops will even it all out. So there's Tony Wells getting ready to take over from James Littlejohn. Victor Creer, he is co-driver of this man, Tor Christian Emsvik. So Norwegian driver brings the car into the pits. He is about to hand over to the Brazilian, Victor Creer, another graduate of the British Formula Ford Championship and European F3 Open. Emsvik pulls off his gloves. His day's work is done. The tyre pressures are just checked on the car. Next man in, Colin Noble, one of the front runners in the Supersport, the SR3 class. Manhalas's team also ready, waiting for their man. Here he is. So Alos is in. There's Michael Vergers, the team manager. Very experienced driver in his own right, Vergers. Just making sure the pit stop is all calm. Alos gets the countdown. He rejoins as Zach Chapman comes down the pit lane, and Chapman has just pipped Alos in the pits, and that is going to be crucial to the latter stage of the race as the Supersport class leader Alex Capardia is in. He's passed the reins over to Tom Jordan as the race leader comes in now. Stuart Mosley is not even out of the car before Mark Smithson gets himself into the cockpit. James Littlejohn at least afforded that luxury by Tony Wells. As into the fray goes Mark Smithson. With the pit stops nearly complete, it's time that Lucia caught up with some of the drivers.
Pole position, you managed to hold that throughout the whole way. Talk us through your part of the race.
It's fairly simple. Me and James need to build up quite a cushion to get a big enough gap to compensate for the driver penalty, so that was kind of our goal.
And was that a smooth changeover for you?
Yeah, relatively speaking. You know, me and Mark usually make good progress in our pit stop. We don't try not to make mistakes, just to take your time and be calm. So
James, you managed to get out on the track for race 2?
Yeah, it's a little bit disappointing not to have done race 1, but Tony got a podium, so that's really, really good news. For me, it's my first year in an SR8, so it's nice to be able to get on the back of the master, Stuart, my teammate, and tag on to him. Last week in Paul Riccardo managed to stay ahead of him, but today he managed to stay in front, and it's a difficult circuit to overtake, so now I'm happy to bring the car back in second.
Alex, you're leading in the Super Sports class at the moment, and you had a pretty good gap of 8 seconds, didn't you, as you came in?
Yeah, I managed to get a bit of a get away at the start. Bradley had a problem, basically. We both raced into the first corner, all the cars closed up, one of the 8 spun, and Bradley was right in front of me, and unfortunately I tapped the back of him and turned him around onto the grass, which wasn't intentional, but that put my main competitor out of the race, so just got my head down, tried to get some lap times. There's a bit of damage to the front end, so we couldn't pull away as fast as we wanted. But I got about an 8-second lead when we came into the pit stop. Tom's out there now. Tom's very new to it, but he's still putting in some good times now. We're just hoping we can hold on to it by the end.
Nervous times to drivers on the pit wall, but plenty of action on track. Still leading the way though, it's Mark Smithson in second place, but in hot pursuit is Tony Wells. We've got a couple of the SR3s between them. Also running very, very close together, that's Terence Woodward, Zach Chapman and Malhalas all busy scrapping for third position. Now that is very, very tight indeed between that group of cars. Alos goes around Chapman. Audacious stuff from Alos to snatch the place away from Zach Chapman. So he jumps up, gains the position, and is now right on the tail of Terence Woodward, who's got his work cut out here to hold on to third place from a charging Manhal Alos. Alos, of course, as we saw earlier on, losing victory on the final corner of the first race, but he has got a point to prove, at the very least to himself, in this race, and therefore he would dearly love to get himself back onto the roster, but he's first of all got to overhaul Terence Woodward with which to achieve that. Zach Chapman still going strongly in fifth as well, so a podium is a very distinct possibility for him as he continues to pursue Woodward and Alos. The race leader, though, Mark Smithson, is ahead of this group of cars. They're disputing second in the Supersport class. It's Colin Noble from Andy Cummings and Darren Allen, and there we've got the second place car in the race, Tony Wells. So he's got to pick his way through this fairly ferocious fight in the SR3s, and that is easier said than done. It's not because they're not getting the blue flags, because they are, but rather because Andy Cummings could be in the sense that maybe that blue flag is being shown is for Darren Allen rather than Tony Wells, who's closing up onto the tail of all of them. So Noble remains in second in the Supersport class. He's chasing down Tom Jordan. This is Gary Kane, who's running just outside the top 10 at the moment, but pushing on strongly, cheering his stint, as we've got still Woodward and Alos. Less than a car's length between the pair of them. Now, will Malhalos be able to elevate himself up onto the podium when he's beginning to run out of laps with which to achieve that? Now, we are progressing towards the latter stages of what has been an enthralling race, and really the Oulton Park circuit has played beautifully to the strengths of these radical cars this weekend. We've had a very entertaining, exciting race, but we've had an enthralling race too, which is still yet to play out as we've got this battle going on for the podium positions in the SR3 class. Tom Jordan's been passed already by Colin Noble. He's now got Darren Anley and Andy Cummings right up onto his tail, and Jordan, he's got Anley looking to his side into Old Hall corner. Is Anley going to go through here in the white car? Yes, he does. So Darren Anley moves up to second in the Supersport class. Tom Jordan drops to third. He may drop further than that if he keeps running wide, as Mark Smithson leads the way from Tony Wells, and this is looking very, very good now. It's really into the very late stages of this race for victory for Mark Smithson. So just one corner to go for him. He arrives into the braking zone at Lodge Corner, and Mark Smithson and Stuart Mosley are very, very well deserved here around the elevations of Oulton Park. They take the checkered flag, take the victory. Delight for Smithson, a very strong second place as well for Tony Wells. Now, what about third in the Supersport class? Tom Jordan still holding on from Andy Cummings, but Cummings moves to the inside, looking into Lodge Corner, and Cummings is going to challenge. He goes through the final corner of the race to wrestle that final podium position away from Tom Jordan. So Andy Cummings is going to finish third in class. Second in class goes to Darren Anley. It's been won already by Colin Noble, and Tom Jordan, slightly disappointed maybe to be fourth in the Supersport class. So let's take a look at results with the win for Mark Smith and Stuart Mosley. Tony Wells and James Littlejohn in second. Then Terence Wood and Ross Kaiser did hold off Manhalos to complete the podium. Excellent race, and therefore a very warm round of applause for the drivers as they head to the podium to get the bubbly and handshakes all round before they pose for the photographers here at Oulton Park.
Stuart gave me a nice little lead, which I tried to lose straight away. But I put in a few reasonable laps, and then coming into Knickerborough, I hit some fluid on the circuit and went sort of straight on, hit that great big tyre in the middle of Knickerborough. So I was braking early and trying to nurse the car around the circuit, and Tony was in hot pursuit, but I didn't want to let him get too near.
So you're obviously both very happy with this win?
Extremely happy. It's been a long time coming. Last year seemed such a long time ago, and we've had to work pretty hard, I think, to get here, haven't we? So I think it's a big relief.
Well, it was really good because James gave me a really nice lead and over everyone except Mark, and we got out. I was a bit slow to get going. I kept locking front tyres for some reason, but anyway, and then once I got my head down, there was plenty of gap behind. I could pull a gap on Terence in third easily enough.
So you're pleased with that result overall then, guys?
Yeah, come away from the weekend with 2 trophies. We've had some bad luck this year so far, haven't we? So it's nice to have a good weekend.
Absolutely,
I think
yeah.
we go away smiling.
Yeah, I mean a second and a third. We had a second and a third at Paul Ricard last week, so eventually we might win one. You never know.
Well, I had Manhal Alos behind me and Zach Chapman, and they both look like they got good pace around here. So I just wanted to try and keep them behind me. So it was one of those dreams where you feel like someone's chasing you and you can't get away from them, you know.
Sounds like a nightmare. But you still had a great result, so congratulations, guys. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
High spirits then on the podium, and let's look at the championship standings. When the Supersport Championship, it's Gary Kane who just leads the way from Colin Noble. In the Masters, well, Zach Chapman, his strong start to the year leaves him 4 points ahead of Terence Woodward and Ross Kaiser, and overall it is Gary Kane who tops the standings by just 1 point from Zach Chapman as they leave Oulton Park.
Well, that's it for the weekend here at Oulton Park and the Dunlop Radical UK Cup Racing. We hope that you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you again next time at Brands Hatch.